You're listening to the John Cobell podcast on the iHeartRadio app. On from 1 till 4, then after 4 o'clock, John Cobell Show on demand on the iHeart app. Moist line is 877-MOIST-86 for Friday. Let it out, 877-MOIST-86. And we are now going to talk with a man and his attorney. The man is Huey Tran, and he was on the Boeing flight that started the string of news stories about bad Boeing flights. Alaska Airlines on January 5th, that was the door plug blowout from Portland to Ontario. This happened in row 26. It was row 27 where Huey Tran was sitting, and it was quite the trauma. He's going to come on here with his attorney, Ari Friedman. Let's get Huey Tran and Ari Friedman on. Huey, how are you?
Hi, good. Thank you very much for having me.
And Ari Friedman, welcome to the show as well.
Thank you, John. Happy to be here.
Huey, tell us about it. What was it like?
Craziest thing I've ever seen, and I've had a few near-death experiences in the past, but this is nothing like it. A giant hole from the top of the cabin all the way to the floor, 2 feet in front of me. I can see the city lights. I can see the traffic below. The freezing air blowing in. I was either die from freezing or the plane was going to fall apart. It was extremely, extremely scary. I did not think I was going to make it.
Was there any buildup to when the plug finally blew out? Did you hear noises or wind whistling?
I myself didn't hear anything. I had just closed my eyes for a second or two. I heard a whoosh sound, opened my eyes, and the door was already gone. It happened so fast.
Now the door was hidden by a panel, right? They had covered up the door plug.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was a door there until the news afterwards because they covered it and it looked like a normal window.
Was anyone sitting in those 2 seats beforehand? I found it odd. I had read that there were 6 empty seats out of 171. What are the odds that 2 of the 6 were right next to that plug? And made me think.
Honestly, there were so many odds at play. Actually, there was nobody sitting in the 2 seats right next to the door. There was somebody in the aisle seat, and the kid to my right was going to go sit at the window seat because it was open. His mother convinced him not to stay by her side because she was on the opposite aisle seat.
Wow. So
yeah.
All right, so there's this tremendous sucking sound as the cabin's depressurized. What did this do to your body? I mean, how did you feel the sucking force, and were you fighting it?
For me, I was in the middle seat, and I didn't feel as much pressure. Kung, to the left of me, my friend, he told us afterwards his body was lifted up off his seat. He could feel himself rising out of his seat. For me, between the shock and the loud wind, it was very hard to hear anything that was happening. I was just staring around and trying my best to stay calm and figure out anything I could do to keep myself safe, including, pulling on my belt, make sure it was tight, and pulling the mask down.
Oh, yes, the oxygen mask. Did you have any trouble breathing during this?
For me, like I said, the adrenaline and the rush, I didn't feel any missing oxygen, but I was told that that's normal, that you don't normally feel it. So I just put it on just in case. And one of the flight attendants also came up with an air canister just in case. I've recently been told that the mask only has enough oxygen for maybe 13 minutes, actually. So
is that right?
That's new to me.
Well, that's not much.
But apparently it's just enough for the plane to land. I thought that it would have oxygen for quite a long time, but
you would think.
No, that's why. Yeah, that's why. So I saw a pile of extra air canisters that they took out that they were ready to distribute. So that makes sense.
How many minutes before the plane landed? You remember?
It's very hard to say. It was hard to say because the stress and you're in the moment. It felt like forever, honestly. In reality, I want to say it was 10, 15 minutes before they figured out if they were going to land on an open space but we felt, and because of a giant hole in the plane, we could see that it was making a turn. After about 10.
Were people screaming on the plane? Was there panic?
Like I said, because of the wind, I could not hear screams that there was.
Yeah.
But I think people were so scared that they tried to stay seated and stay secure instead of trying to panic and move around or anything. There was a scary calmness that it was like we're either going to make it or not kind of thing. It wasn't, thinking our last thought kind of scariness. Still.
So the plane lands. I guess it circled back to Portland, and everybody just leaves the plane. That's it. Was there? Did the crew, the pilots, did anybody tell you anything? Explain what was going on?
No, we did not get any information. I and my friend was allowed off the plane first because he was hurt. So I escorted him out, and we got a wheelchair and wheeled out. We did not get any additional information at the time. We were just told to deboard and try to figure a way to rebook the plane.
Good luck.
Rebook it back. Good luck. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. How long did it take before, you calmed down and realized what you just went through? I mean, that must have been such a huge surge of adrenaline.
There definitely was, and I would say there's probably several stages. The first stage, I think what you're asking about, is probably within the first 1 to 3 hours, where it was just disbelief of what just happened, and then commiserating and talking to other people while we're in line, trying to figure out alternate travel plans to talk about how crazy it was and share the experience. And that shock was there.
Yeah, we're
but
talking.
It didn't really think.
No, I just want to say we're talking
in for another week or two.
Really. We're talking with Huey Tran. He was a passenger in row 27, one row behind from where the door plug blew out on Alaska Airlines back in January. And his attorney, Ari Friedman. All right, Ari, lay out the lawsuit here. You're representing 7 passengers who were on the plane?
That's right, Sean. And fundamentally what we're looking at is that the bolts that were used to hold this door plug in place were not installed during the manufacturing process. So the lawsuit is looking at the manufacturer, Boeing, and Spirit Aerosystems, who actually made the plug, wondering why during routine assembly and maintenance, these bolts, which were critical to securing the plug to the fuselage, were not installed.
Is this something Alaska should have noticed, their maintenance crew?
Well, John, unfortunately, we are still very early on in the investigation. The NTSB, Boeing, Spirit Aerosystems are all involved in that investigation. We are not. So we only have very scant information. The information that we are given, we aren't really able to do much investigation ourselves. Right now, it appears that the plane was delivered without the bolts to Alaska, and there was no further maintenance. But again, we need the opportunity to, have the chance to look at the plane ourselves and do our investigation to make sure.
Have you had other cases in your practice dealing with airlines and these kind of issues?
Yes, we have.
Now you probably have. I was going to say you probably have read the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal investigations in recent days. Just the complete disaster, it seems, that Boeing is when it comes to quality control and their production lines. I mean, my head spins every time the new story comes out. Have you ever seen anything like this? Had you heard about this over the years at Boeing?
I don't want to necessarily say aviation insiders, but people who have been paying attention to Boeing have watched this slow and sometimes rapid decline, this shift from Boeing once being a prideful engineering powerhouse to one that's making monetary and business decisions to honor deadlines over quality and profits over people. So this is not something necessarily new for us in seeing how Boeing is approaching its manufacturing process, especially as it pertains to the 737 MAX. But again, this near tragedy highlights the state that Boeing is in, and it's our hope in the lawsuit that we can start putting pressure on them to effectuate real change.
All right, Ari. Huey, I guess you feel like you're on your second life now, right?
For sure. I mean, definitely.
Okay. Well, yeah, you have 7 more to go after this. So good luck, Huey.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time.
Ari Friedman, his attorney, thank you for coming on.
Appreciate it, John. Happy to be here.
All right. Now, that was an Alaska Airlines flight, Boeing, and it landed at Portland Airport. We have another Alaska Airlines flight, a Boeing plane, landing at Portland Airport with another issue. We'll tell you about it when we come back. You didn't hear this one?
No.
Oh, good.
Can't wait.
All right. Big day here.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions.